They're going to kill the fish, are they? Okay, I'll explain what's going on in case you couldn't hear. It's cute. Fish in a fish bowl, on a computer program, and if you're aware that someone in the room or someone's in the room are not really being responsive enough to rights, you press a button, and over time now the water starts going down, so the fish is in jeopardy. And what happens if it runs out entirely? The fish sort of flap around and die?
Well, then they know next week they can't drown most fish.
Say that again?
They get really upset if they drown the fish.
Yeah.
As the water gets lower, as soon as somebody's doing the wrong thing and I push the button, everybody looks at the person who's doing the wrong thing and says, stop, stop. And
yeah. I'd like to see this as well, because this is an interesting concept. That principle could be translated, I think, in a lot of ways. Now, imagine if the children who say stop, stop, stop knew that the only reason that kid was doing what he's doing is because he didn't know how to do what he's supposed to do, probably, I'm assuming, for example, or he felt bad in the group, didn't feel loved enough in the group or liked enough in the group, and so rather than say stop, 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 they would actually go and assist, or they would make themselves somehow feel better about themselves. So if they had a deeper understanding of what drives some of the problem behaviour, their response wouldn't be critical, it would be supportive. And that would be, another way of looking at this. But with A's and B's you can be critical. A's and B's like themselves, they think you're like them. If you were disappointed in them, they'd be disappointed in themselves. So you've got a lot of referent power with A's and B's, and C's as well. So if you say, look, I'm really disappointed that some people are talking and others can't hear, it will have a huge impact on an A and a B. And what we're finding in practice, you should know, it also seems to affect D's. I don't know why. They seem to like the ability to have control over themselves. The argument may well be that they like power, and power, whether it's to contest yours or it's productive power over themselves. In other words, they turn that power inwards and have self-control. There are ways of conceptualising what's going on, but I'm getting information that some of the Ds are responding extremely well to hints, which we didn't predict, and it wasn't part of my argument, but you can see why it might work. Because when you're hinting, you're trusting. And if you're trusting, it might mean you're liking or valuing.
Less threatening.
Yeah. More face saving, all that sort of stuff. It might be, I don't know. Okay, any other good ideas that we need to share?
I don't know whether this is a hint or an instruction, a verbal, non-verbal instruction. There's a teacher at school who has a pack of stuff. They're all words, most of them are words, but he has one that says listen to others. And when everyone's talking in class, he gets his listen to other signs and just holds it up. He's very, very calm. He's an amazingly calm person. And he's got this listen to others, and you see the kids noticing that that's what he's doing. I don't say he has a very quiet class, but it seems to be quite calm classroom.
Yeah, well that would be, it's somewhere between, isn't it? If it would be there's too much noise or people aren't hearing each other, that would be a hint. So it depends on the wording of the sign almost. If the sign would say, at this moment people can't hear each other, that's a hint. If it's listen to others, it's a non-verbal direction. So just a slight wording of the change can turn that into a hint. It would work.
You put it on the board, and when the kids get into noise, just put a little arrow, draw a little arrow to the I don't know whether that's...
That would be a control. That's definitely, because that's a demand, and it's done visually. So the difference between a demand, this is a subtle difference, but the difference between a demand and a hint is describing the situation. A demand is telling me what to do about it. So if I were to say, look, some people came in late from the break and distracted others, that's a hint. If I said something like, you need to come on time from the breaks or else you'll distract others, that's a demand. But if I just describe a situation, when people come back late, they actually slow things down, and then I could power that a bit more and say, and it's really quite disappointing, and we agreed we'd cover as much ground as possible. So I can just keep layering this with different aspects. And that's what I'm going to get you to do in a minute. I'm going to go into the verbal hints. You have to be able to do this too. So, for yourself, write down 3 things that you would like to hint about that go on in your classroom, and then you'll play with those yourself. So write down 3 things you can use tomorrow as hints, as 3 things that you need to hint about. Is it people coming late, people coming without equipment, people talking when others should be listening, people moving around when they shouldn't, people touching people when they shouldn't, you know, on the mat or whatever? What? Write down 3 things, 3 misbehaviours, if you want to call them that, 3 inappropriate or whatever behaviours you want to use. Inappropriate's a good word. What we're going to do now, though, is going to move to verbal, because that's very more common. And it's very hard to get the verbal down to a point where you can actually do it in few words, and yet you need to. So I'll show you a few more, by the way. This is one. Got the logic? It's not saying what to do about it, it's saying there's a problem. It's a bit like that connecting up the internet one. I didn't get to see what all this did, but I'd be curious. Okay, there's this was another one which is going more towards a non-verbal demand, but I thought I'd show you anyhow. This teacher laminated these and placed them on the tables of the kids. Kids on different tables, and she would move them around during the course of the week. And also on each table there was a communal responsibility figure who was empowered for that week, because they were taught, they had to be taught. She was worried that everyone would get to be communally responsible and be chaos, which happens in primary. You know, you give the kids the right to sort of control others and everybody's there with a vengeance. We used to have prefects, but they were legitimate power, and they were sort of communal responsibility people, but they were legitimate power. This is coming out of relationship power. So they would write these out. She got them laminated, placed them down. I just grabbed a few to see what they said. Some of them are accurate, some of them are just reflection and hinting. It's a cute idea. Seemed to make a difference. So the non-verbal can be a mixture, in a sense, of hinting and demands. So there are some others. That class was interesting to watch. There was one person on it. She could have had 60 tables in there. It wouldn't have made any difference, because on every table there were these signs, and every table they had someone in charge of the table. So she had very little to do in that way. This was one I saw, but that is not a hint. That's a non-verbal demand. A hint would look like that. Okay, so if you want to hold something up, you can just hold that up, if you want to do it that way. I don't know what it looked like. It's not what teachers generally do, right? But it's got a purpose. That's my challenge to you. Look at all the people in here. If we can't come up with 5 decent ideas that I can sort of put in somewhere for people to look at on the web or something, that'd be very strange. So I'm asking you to give it a lot of thought. I'm not good at this. This is right brain stuff. It's not my thing. Maybe you can find in your creative mind something it's got it best to do with visual or rhythmic or movement. Okay? Now, even in the linguistic, I'm going to be problematic, because if you look on the second page, you'll see there's too many words. But there are some on page numbered. Yeah, that's it. It'll be there. One of these. 13, I think. There it is. Is that number 13? No, 9. Page number 9. The page with 9 on the bottom. They are a bunch of verbal hints. And the only problem with them is there's too many words. The logic's fine. I'm good at logic. Fine. Language, problematic, especially if you're talking to grade 3. So your job is going to be to translate this stuff and then show us how it's going to sound. But what you're going to do is the following. Watch. Take one of your situations and do this. Describe it. So, someone, imagine this was happening in your room. How would you sound if you were just describing it? Just read what you would say. What would come out of your mouth? No more than maybe 10 words. Anybody? Do it on your table first. Share them. In other words, you've got to describe that situation in less than 10 words, simple vocab, as if you were standing at the front of the room. Okay, go for it.